You know, in our discussions leading up to this evening, we spent some time talking about running, engaging in philanthropy like running a business. How has being a business leader challenged the way you give, and what key strategies do you apply to philanthropy?
I think that, and most people, no, I wouldn't say most, a lot of people are afraid to give. A lot of people that have accumulated wealth are afraid to give. And they're afraid to give because they think the money will be wasted and it's not going to achieve its goals. And I think that if you are an active philanthropist, if you've created some wealth in your life and you want to dedicate some of your time, like Andrew Carnegie suggested, do it yourself. Don't wait till you die and have somebody else do it. Do it for something you care about, be the custodian of your wealth, and you will care a lot more about how it's spent than some trustee will down the road. And so I think if you look at any social issue and you look at it as you would look at any business problem or the execution of a business plan, it's the same thing. It really is. You have to understand, tread very carefully. You have to really get an understanding of what the issues are in the first place. And I can give you a number of examples where we did that, whether it was Street to Home or whether it was the Clinton Giustra stuff, to really understand the need and then craft a business plan, how you're going to address that need and solve that problem on a sustainable basis. So you're not continually pouring money at something. You find a solution that addresses a problem that is sustainable.
Well, maybe we can touch on that. Because just before we started this evening, and you and Lara and I were talking about the work that you're doing with the Clinton Giustra Enterprise Partnership, and we were talking about sustainability, and I found that to be a really unique and interesting model, and maybe you can share a little bit more about that.
You know, we launched the Clinton Giustra Partnership in 2007, and for about 6 years we tried a lot of different things, and it was always about poverty alleviation, but we addressed it from many different angles. Some things worked, some things didn't, and that's the other thing about philanthropy. You should really be prepared to modify what you do and change and make mistakes. That's okay, as long as you're learning from them. But what we did is, finally we brought in a new CEO for the Clinton Giustra Partnership that was from the supply management business, and he did about a year's worth of research into everything that we were doing and the needs of the communities that we were trying to help, where poverty was very severe and where job creation would alleviate that in a sustainable way. And he came up with 3 models. And that's when we changed the name. Now it's the Clinton Giustra Enterprise Partnership. And the reason we changed the name to Enterprise Partnership is because we created 3 models that are social enterprises. And they're set up within our foundation to be profitable, for-profit businesses, but within the foundation. So we never take money out. The money always stays in and gets recycled and into other programs and other programs. But each of the enterprises has to have a profitable business model. And there are 3. There's the training centers for the needs of whatever and we've looked at needs for tourism and needs for call centers. We have the supply chain for agricultural products into value-added products for large corporations that need it at scale, and that's probably our biggest model so far. And then the distribution model, which is 20% of the world's population lives in rural areas. In rural areas, you have no stores, no access to household products like hygiene products and soaps and reading glasses and all sorts of things that you can go to any corner store here. And for 20% of the population, that doesn't exist. So we created the Chikipi model, which is these women entrepreneurs that we train, and then we give them all their goods on consignment, and they walk around to these rural areas with their backpacks and sell door to door, like the Avon lady. And it's an amazing model, and you can do this anywhere in the world, and we are now doing this in other parts of the world because it's so easy to set up. And companies like Procter & Gamble and Unilever, they want to be our partners, and they want to help us set these up because they get to access a percentage of the population they would have never accessed before. So it's beneficial to everybody, and that makes it sustainable. And it's the same way for the agricultural products, whether it's the cashew fruit in India or some other thing that a company like Pepsi or Coca-Cola needs the end product at scale, and they need it to certain quality standards, and they need it guaranteed on time. So what we do is we reverse engineer all of those needs from some of these very large corporations right back to the producers of the product, and we put in all of the quality controls and the technology and the supply chain in between to get that product to meet the needs of that corporation. And what you're doing along the way is creating jobs for the supply chain, and you're raising the income levels of the farmers by 2 or 3 times. And so it's a very easy thing to create that is sustainable because there's an actual commercial need for that product, and they're paying real money for what they need. And they want it, the Pepsis of the world and Unilevers of the world, they all want to do this for their own corporate images. They need the product, but they also know that they can brag about creating a social good out there. So it's that whole thing that Clinton says is doing well by doing good. And so all of these things are sustainable. They're all profitable businesses, and we want to create lots and lots of them all over the world, and impact and improve the lives of millions of people. And this is going to be my life's work. This is something that, I think at the rate we're going now, and the number of countries that the demand is so great for what we're creating that we're hardly keeping up. But it really does impact the lives of people and raises their income. It brings them out of poverty. It gives them all sorts of options to what they can do with their families and with their children and education.